On the night of December 15, 1900, the steamship Archtor was traveling east through the Atlantic Ocean toward Edinburgh, Scotland. The night was clear. The sea was rough but not dangerous. The captain, Joseph Holman, expected to see the powerful light of the new Flannan Isles lighthouse on the small island of Eilean Mor, 20 miles off the western coast of Lewis in the Outer Hebrides. The light had only been operational for a year. It was supposed to be visible for 40 miles in clear weather. On December 15, Holman saw nothing. The lighthouse was dark. He noted it in his log. 3 months earlier this would have been an alarming observation, but the Northern Lighthouse Board, which managed the lights along the Scottish coast, had been delayed all autumn by extreme weather. Relief ships had been unable to reach Eilean Mor for over a week due to relentless storms in the area. The Arctur's report did not get to the Lighthouse Board until a week after the sighting, when the captain reached port. By that time other ships had also reported the dark light. On December 26, the relief steamer Hesperus finally reached Eilean Mor. The crew expected to be greeted by the three keepers waving from the clifftop landing. No one was waving. No flag was flying from the flagpole. The lighthouse seemed empty. A relief keeper named Joseph Moore was rowed ashore. He climbed the steep stairs cut into the cliff. He pushed open the gate. Then the door. He shouted. Nobody answered. He searched the lighthouse and the auxiliary buildings. The three keepers, James Duckett, Thomas Marshall, and Donald MacArthur, were gone. Moore returned to the Hesperus shaken. The captain sent more men ashore to investigate. They found a series of strange clues. The clocks throughout the lighthouse had stopped. A meal was set out on the kitchen table, partially prepared but uneaten, with a chair tipped over backward as if someone had stood up violently. 2 of the 3 sets of oilskin coats and boots used for outdoor work were missing. 1 full set was still hanging by the door. The lighthouse log had been kept faithfully through December 15. The last entry in the daily log was made by Thomas Marshall in the morning. The light, however, had been lit on December 14. We know this because keepers always logged when they lit the lamp, and the December 14 entry shows it had been lit. After that, no entries. The keepers had vanished sometime between December 14 and December 15. Outside, the lighthouse compound told its own story. The west landing of the island, where supplies and visitors typically arrived in calm weather, had been violently damaged. A heavy crane had been wrenched from its concrete platform. Iron railings, set in solid rock at 110 feet above sea level, had been bent and twisted. A massive iron box used to store ropes had been moved. The ropes themselves were strewn around the rocks. Whatever had happened on the west landing had been an act of overwhelming force. The east landing, on the calmer side of the island, was undisturbed. The investigation was led by Robert Muirhead, a senior superintendent of the Northern Lighthouse Board. He arrived on Eilean Mor several days later. He examined every room, every log entry, every object. He interviewed everyone who had been in contact with the keepers in the months before they disappeared. He produced one of the most detailed missing persons reports of the era. He concluded that the keepers had probably been swept from the west landing by a freak wave during a violent storm. He could not explain why 2 of them, including Donald MacArthur, would have rushed out without their oilskin coats in such weather. He was almost certain they had drowned, but he could find no bodies, no scraps of clothing, no physical evidence beyond the damaged landing. 3 theories emerged. Theory 1 is the freak wave hypothesis. The west cliffs of Eilean Mor are notoriously exposed. In the December storms of 1900, waves of 70 to 100 feet were measured along the western coast of Scotland. A keeper might have gone outside to secure equipment that was being damaged. The other 2 might have rushed out to help. A massive wave, perhaps 100 feet high, could have swept the entire west landing and dragged all 3 men into the sea. The damage to the west landing equipment is consistent with this. The missing oilskin coats but not the third are also explained. MacArthur, the keeper who left without his coat, may have rushed out in a panic when he saw the others in trouble. Theory 2 is the homicide hypothesis. One keeper killed the other 2 and then jumped, fell, or fled. There is no evidence for this. The relationships among the keepers were reportedly normal. No bodies were found. No signs of a fight inside the lighthouse.